So you go to school, get a job, work until you're 65, and that's when you can retire and enjoy your life. This is the path that most people take. But do you really want to spend most of your life doing something that you might not even like? And what if you never get to the age of 65? And so that's why in this video, I'm going to share why you shouldn't retire at the age of 65 and what you should do and work towards instead. Hey, my name is Michael Lee Kim, and I'm a financial coach, CPA, TEDx speaker, and digital nomad. And my goal is to help Canadians just like you learn how to retire young, not old, all while enjoying life. And so instead of planning to work until the age of 65, the first thing that you should work towards instead is something called Coast FIRE. One of my clients is in their 50s and they were able to achieve Coast FIRE. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And Coast FIRE essentially means that they don't have to save any more money for retirement, because by the time they want to retire, their savings will grow to the amount that they need to be able to retire. And all they need to do is cover their monthly expenses until retirement. And so because they don't need to contribute any more money for retirement, the wife was able to quit her full-time job to be able to spend more time with her family. They're only able to do this because they knew that they had enough money for retirement. And so if you're able to achieve Coast FIRE, this will give you the freedom to take it easy with your career and your finances and instead focus on what really matters to you. For some, it could be family. For others, it could be starting a new hobby or career. But regardless of what you choose, Coast FIRE gives you the freedom to prioritize what's important to you. And so here's how you can find your Coast FIRE number. I'll be using this early retirement calculator, and so if you want access to it, feel free to go to the link in the description below. So let's say your current age is 30 and you want to retire by 65. That means you have about 35 years until you retire. And for this example, we'll assume an average rate of return of about 8% per year. So in terms of your current situation, you want to set your current monthly savings to zero because we want to figure out when we don't need to save any additional money for retirement. And we can say we have about $50,000 already saved up for retirement. Next, you'll need to determine your income during retirement. This can include your work pension, CPP, OAS, or any additional sources of income. For this example, let's say you get the max CPP and OAS amount. Next, you'll need to determine your expenses during retirement. This will vary based on your lifestyle, and so let's just say you need a monthly required expenses of about $6,000 per month. From here, we can determine your total required savings for retirement, and using the 4% rule as a benchmark, your total required savings for retirement would be about $1.13 million, which means if we have $76,000 today, it will grow to $1.3 million in 35 years. And so this is our Coast FIRE goal. But keep in mind with Coast FIRE, you still need to cover your monthly expenses until retirement. And so if you're trying to find some ways to save money either before or during your retirement, you should check out the sponsor of this video. Chexi is a Canadian-based fintech company that allows you to use your credit card to pay for expenses like rent, utilities, insurance, taxes, and more, so that you can earn cash back or credit card point rewards. And so how does Chexi actually work? Well, all you need to do is to first set up an account with Chexi, link your credit card, and then set up who and when you're paying. For example, let's say you're going to pay your landlord rent on the first day of every month. Then within 3 business days before the payment is due, Chexi will automatically charge your credit card and the money will arrive in your Chexi wallet. Then lastly, on the day the payment is due, Chexi will pay the bill via e-transfer, pre-authorized debt, or bill payment. And this is how you can earn more credit card points and rewards using your credit card through Chexi. So how many points can you realistically earn in a year? Well, the average Canadian has about $24,000 of expenses. And so let's say you have the Scotiabank Momentum Visa Infinite card that gives you about a 4% cashback on reoccurring payments. That means you'll receive total cashback rewards of about $960. Now, Chexi does charge you a 1.75% processing fee with a total of $420, which means you just earned $540, which you can use on groceries, movies, travel, or really anything. The same $24,000 of expenses can give you about $24,000 of credit card point reward, which is enough points to fly anywhere in Europe. And all you did was pay your bills. And so as you can see, Chexi is a great way to save some money and start accumulating a lot of credit card points on expenses that you're already paying. And so if you want to start using Chexi today, feel free to use my link in the description below. Okay, but let's say you've already achieved Coast FIRE. What should you work towards next? Well, in this case, your next goal should be to achieve something called lean fire. Lean fire is essentially when the passive income from your investments can cover your living expenses. For example, let's say you have about $50,000 of expenses. If your investments, either from your stocks or real estate, can generate about $50,000 of passive income per year, that means you've achieved lean fire, which essentially means you're now work optional. Work optional is when you have the choice to work or not, because your investments are able to sustain you for the rest of your life. One of my clients is on track to be work optional in her 40s. And although she doesn't mind her corporate job, what she really loves to do is yoga. And so that's the reason why her goal is to become work optional so that she could quit her full-time corporate job and go full-time in her yoga business. You see, most people spend about 8 hours per day working at a job that they don't even really like. That means 40 hours per week or 2,000 hours per year, which adds up to about 30% of your life. And so do you really want to spend 30% of your life doing something that you're meh about? I mean, what if you could spend 30% of your life doing something that truly lights you up? I remember a few years ago when I was working at my corporate job, 1 hour literally felt like 10 hours of hell. And it really drained the life out of me. And it started to negatively impact other areas of my life. But when I started my own business where I get to use my unique strengths and talents to help other people with their personal finances, suddenly I became so much more happier and positive in my life. And so how do you figure out what you need to do to achieve your lean fire goal? Well, we just need to adjust a few assumptions. Let's say your retirement age is 50. And because you won't be able to claim CPP and OAS until 65, for simplicity's sake, we can just remove it. Then we'll just have to adjust the 4% safe withdrawal rate. The 4% is based on a 30-year time horizon. And so since we're planning to retire at 50 and potentially living past 90, this is more than a 30-year time horizon. So we can reduce the 4% to about 3.8%. And so that means you'll need a total of $1.8 million to retire comfortably by 55. And so this is your retirement goal, to become work optional. Now keep in mind, if you have a pension or some sort of additional passive income during retirement, this will significantly reduce the amount that you need in order to achieve lean fire. For example, let's say you have a pension that'll pay you an additional $1,000 per month. This is the amount that you'll need for retirement. But I'm curious, if you didn't have to work anymore, what would you do with all of your time? Let me know in the comments below. Now, there's a common misconception about retiring early, which is that you need to deprive yourself of a life in order to save money. And this could be true, but the thing is, you get to define what early retirement means to you. To me, early retirement doesn't mean living off rice and beans and trying to save as much money as possible so that I could retire early. For me, I want to live a big life. I want to live in luxury, buy nice things, and travel around the world. This is what early retirement means to me. And this is also known as fat fire. Fat fire is when you've already achieved lean fire, but you want to live a more lavish and luxurious life. And so let's say you only need about $5,000 to live comfortably, but you want to live a more lavish lifestyle where you'll need about $10,000 per month. And so this would be your lean fire goal, while this would be your fat fire goal. This is also what I like to call the vanilla plan and the chocolate plan. The vanilla plan will essentially tell you, if you don't make any changes to your life, what is the bare minimum that you need to do in order to live comfortably. Now, the chocolate plan is that, okay, if you want to live this more lavish life, if you want to retire early, what do you need to do in order to make this happen? For example, I helped one of my clients create a vanilla plan where they could retire comfortably in Canada and live a very simple life. But what he really wants to do is to retire early and live abroad for 6 months out of the year so that he could sail around the world. And so we built him a chocolate plan that told him exactly what he needed to do in order to make this goal happen. And so the benefit of this is that the worst case scenario, he achieves his vanilla plan and he's able to retire comfortably. And in the best case scenario, he's able to achieve his chocolate plan, where he's able to live his fullest life. And this is why it's so important to have an early retirement plan so that you can start making changes to your life today so that you can change your future. And if you want to learn how to start building an early retirement plan so that you can retire young and not old, all while enjoying life, then feel free to download my early retirement calculator. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. You see, everyone has a completely different definition of retirement. For some, retirement means working until you're 65 and then enjoying life. But this is just one way of thinking about retirement. As I shared in this video, there are 3 other alternatives of retirement that you can now start to work towards. And the most important lesson from this video is that you get to decide what retirement means to you. If you want to work until you're 65, that's totally fine. But if you want to retire early, just know that this is a possibility for you. But the thing is, many Canadians end up making a lot of mistakes when it comes to retirement, which is why they aren't able to afford to retire. And so if you want to learn about the top 10 mistakes that Canadians make when planning for retirement, watch this video next.